So in this question, we need to write an algorithm to check that if an array is unique or not. So this is also an interview question which is asked in big tech companies' interviews. There are many different ways of this question. It might ask to check unique characters in a string or unique elements in array, depending on the programming language that you are going to use. So here we will look at the one which is related to arrays. So according to the question, we need to find out if the elements are unique in the array or there is a repetitive one. So let's say we have an array like this. So we need to write a method to check that if the elements are unique or not. So when we run our method, it should return Boolean value, true or false. So if it is unique, it's going to return true. If it is not, it's going to return false. So in this case, you see that all elements of this array are unique. So that's why it's returning true. So how can we check this? So here also we are going to loop through this array twice. First, we are going to take the first element and compare this element with the others. If it is equal to any of other elements, then we are going to return false, saying that this element is repetitive. Otherwise, we are going to return true. And this process will be continued until we have finished all elements over here. So based on this logic, let's create this method in Java. Here I want to mention that this is the question number 217 on LeetCode. So here it's called contains duplicate, but in most interview questions, it is called IsUnique. So these are the same questions. So basically, even though the names of these questions are different, but these are the same questions. So let's continue to implement a method which solves this problem in Java. So here again, I'm going to create our method inside this main class. So the method name will be IsUnique. So as we mentioned before, it's going to return Boolean value. So I'm going to put public Boolean, then IsUnique. And as a parameter, it's going to take, for example, let's say it's going to take integer array. So in this case, I'm going to put integer array, but it depends on which data type or interview request. So in this case, for simplicity, I'm going to put integer. So it's going to be integer array. Then inside method, we are going to start to loop through this array. So then one more time, we are going to loop for the next elements and comparing them and returning the Boolean value. So for int I, which is starting from 0, so it's obvious that array index starts from 0. That's why this loop will start from 0, and it will continue until the length of array. So int array.length, and in each step is going to increase by 1. Then inside this loop, we are going to write another nested loop, which will start from the next element. So in this case, j will start from I plus 1. So for int j equals I plus 1, and it will continue also until the array length, and this one also increased by 1. Then inside this loop, we are going to take this element from the outside loop and compare it with all elements from the inside loop. So if they are equal, we are going to return false, otherwise we are going to return true. So if int array with the index of I equals int array with the index of j, then in this case we are going to return false. Otherwise, after looping through all elements, if we see that these elements are not equal, then in this case, outside of outer loop, we are going to return true. This means that our array is unique. So there is no repetitive element in this array over here. So this is how our method will look like. So in this case, we are looping through array and taking one element and comparing this element with the other elements. So if they are equal, we are returning false. If they are not equal, we are returning true. So let's see how this is working in practice. So here I'm going to create integer array inside this main method, in which we will have first unique elements, and we will run this method for this array over here, in which we have unique elements. For example, for simplicity, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'm going to create another Boolean value, which will keep the result from this IsUnique function. So it's going to be result. So I will set this one to this method output over here. So this method will be called for this array over here. Then I'm going to print out this result to the console to see that what is the value of this result. So system.out.print result. Now in this case, it should be mn.isUnique because it's located in the main class. So we have created an instance of main class as mn over here. So that's why I'm going to put mn IsUnique. So if you run our code, now in this case, you see that it returns true because all elements in this array is unique. So that's why it's returning true. So for example, instead of 4 over here, if I put 6 and rerun our code, you see that in this case it returns false because we have repetitive element in our array. So with this we have come to the end of this lecture, so hopefully everything is clear about this method over here. So see you in the next lecture.